The fall of the Roman Empire. From glory to ashes. The story of the Roman Empire is not simply the rise and fall of a state. It is the story of ambition without limits, of power built stone by stone, and of a world that believed its own dominance was eternal. Rome did not fall in a single moment. It collapsed slowly, under the weight of its own success, worn down by internal decay, constant pressure, and the quiet erosion of the ideals that once made it great. To understand its fall, we must first understand how Rome rose and why its greatness carried the seeds of its destruction. Rome began not as an empire, but as a fragile city-state on the Italian peninsula. According to legend, it was founded in 753 BCE, though history paints a more modest picture, a settlement of farmers, traders, and soldiers, surrounded by stronger neighbors. What Rome lacked in wealth or culture, it made up for with discipline, adaptability, and an unbreakable belief in order. Early Roman society valued duty, sacrifice, and loyalty to the state above all else. These values shaped its armies, its laws, and its identity. As Rome expanded, it absorbed enemies rather than destroying them. Conquered peoples were often offered citizenship, protection, and a place within the Roman system. Roads stretched across continents, laws standardized daily life, and legions brought stability through force. Over centuries, Rome transformed from a republic into an empire, and with that transformation came both power and danger. The Roman Republic was built on balance. Power was divided among elected officials, assemblies, and the Senate. But as Rome's territory grew, its political system struggled to keep up. Wealth flowed into the hands of a few elites, while soldiers returned from long wars to find their farms ruined and their futures uncertain. Social tension grew. Ambition replaced cooperation. The late Republic was defined by civil wars and strongmen. Figures like Julius Caesar rose not just as leaders, but as symbols of a system breaking under pressure. Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE did not save the Republic, it sealed its fate. The chaos that followed led to the rise of Augustus, Rome's first emperor. In exchange for peace and stability, Rome accepted absolute power. Under the empire, Rome reached its peak. This period, often called the Pax Romana, was an age of relative peace lasting nearly 2 centuries. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched from Britain to Egypt, from the Atlantic Ocean to the borders of Persia. Cities flourished, trade connected distant lands. Architecture, engineering, and law reached unprecedented levels of sophistication. But beneath the surface, cracks were already forming. The empire's size, once its greatest strength, became a burden. Governing such vast territory required immense resources. Armies had to be stationed along distant borders, supplied constantly and paid reliably. As expansion slowed, the flow of new wealth declined, but the costs of defense remained. To compensate, emperors raised taxes and debased currency, quietly weakening the economy. Political stability was an illusion. Many emperors ruled briefly, some violently removed by rivals or even their own guards. Loyalty shifted from the state to individual leaders, and power was increasingly decided by military support rather than law. The idea of Rome as a shared civic project faded, replaced by fear, corruption, and survival.
Let's talk about why Rome, this mighty empire that once ruled the Mediterranean, isn't just about invading armies or a few bad emperors. The real story, the old Roman values, self-sacrifice, restraint, duty, those things people once bragged about, they started to vanish. As Rome grew richer, life became more about luxury, wild parties, and spectacular games in the arena. But while the elite lounged in marble villas, most Romans were struggling. The gap between rich and poor exploded. Heavy taxes crushed ordinary folks, and the economy became unstable. People stopped trusting the government. the idea that Rome was eternal. It started to feel like a myth. Meanwhile, outside Rome's borders, the world was changing fast. Roman writers called their neighbors barbarians, but that just meant outsiders. These groups weren't some united army bent on Rome's destruction. Most just wanted trade, land, or a safer place for their families. But Rome's borders were getting weaker, and politics back home were a mess. So, when entire peoples started moving, driven by climate shifts, population booms, or wars far to the east, they looked to Rome for opportunity. Rome couldn't make up its mind. Sometimes, new arrivals were welcomed as allies, given land and a chance at Roman life. Other times, Rome treated them like invaders and tried to force them out. All this, internal division, economic stress, and unpredictable foreign policy, created a recipe for chaos. In the end, Rome didn't fall overnight. It unraveled, thread by thread, as old values faded and new pressures mounted. And that's the real lesson. Even the greatest empires can fade. Not because of one big disaster, but because of slow changes from within and pressures from outside that nobody can ignore forever.
Why did the mighty Roman Empire crumble? I mean, we're talking about a civilization that shaped the Western world, built roads stretching for thousands of miles and ruled over millions. But even giants can stumble, and Rome's downfall is a story with more twists than a Roman aqueduct. Let's rewind to the late 3rd century. The empire was a mess, economic chaos, foreign invasions, rebellions popping up. Emperor Diocletian steps up and says, "It's too big, let's split it." So, he divides Rome into eastern and western halves, hoping two emperors could handle what one couldn't. It works for a while. The east, rich cities, strong walls, gold pouring in, they hang on. But the west, not so lucky. They're hammered by invaders, their armies shrinking and their cash running low. Rome starts hiring outsiders to defend their borders, which blurs the line between us and them. Emperors turn into puppets, power shifts to scheming generals, and the whole system starts to crack. Then, in 410 CE, disaster strikes. Rome, untouchable for centuries, is sacked by him. The city isn't completely destroyed, but the shock is huge. The idea of Rome as the eternal city, gone. After that, the Western Empire limps along. Provinces break away, emperors come and go. By 476 CE, a teenage emperor is quietly sent packing, and nobody bothers to replace him. That's it. But here's the twist. Rome's legacy didn't just vanish. Its laws shaped medieval kingdoms. Its language morphed into French, Spanish Empire, later called Byzantium, survived for another 1,000 years. So what really brought Rome down? A dramatic battle. It was slow decay, too big, too complex. Rome couldn't keep up with the changing world, and by the time it realized, it was too late. In the end, Rome didn't fall as a warning. Even the greatest empires aren't invincible. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and stick around for more deep dives into history's biggest moments.